my apologies for delaying in the session due to some unwanted circumstances. I could not log in on time. But then yes, here we are, and we wish to go ahead with our member spotlight series. So today's member of Mentor My Board who is under the spotlight is Mr. Unnikrishnan. From leading a team of 850 professionals to developing the courses that redefine management competencies, this accomplished leader brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table. And in this episode of Member Spotlight series, we will explore his inspiring journey, actionable insights, and unique expertise in creating those value driven leadership and governance strategies. So, Unnikrishnan ji, a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us here in the Member Spotlight series.
Thank you, Nehaji.
Yeah. And again, my apologies to you too for make you waiting. But yes, we would love to hear your journey, your story of managing and leading a team of 850 professionals and managers. What were this and lessons that you took away from this kind of an experience?
No problem. Murphy's law many times do work. Sorry, does work. So it happens.
Yeah.
It's not a problem at all. So let's get into
Thank
the
you.
topic of the day with the question number one.
Yeah.
Well, this particular responsibility of the role connected with was much higher in terms of intensity and load compared to my previous role. So there was a big
Okay.
and huge change between what I was doing earlier and what I
Hmm.
expected to do in this particular role. Earlier, it was only limited to service deliverables. There was no revenue pressure, there was no cost pressure, there was no employee satisfaction. Of course, it was there to some extent, but owing to that particular model of that organization and the role per se. But of course, customer satisfaction was the key factor. Whereas here, all these things put together, I was pulled in 360 degrees. So let me explain how it was. First, let me start with the three key challenges that I had in this particular role. The
Yeah.
first challenge was out of 850 professionals and managers, 650 people were away from my base location. That itself was a big handicap for me. The reason being, I would not be able to connect in person until unless I make a specific visit, plan in advance, ensure that the people are available, and meet them. The second challenge was this was a totally new company, new team, new environment. I do not know the
Hmm.
positive and negative aspects of this particular environment. It was like throwing me into a river without knowing what is the depth or how long I should swim to deliver the goods. But I was enjoying it because I always like to move away from my comfort zone and try to prove myself by exploring other possibilities, by accepting additional loads, and so on. So, how I tackled the problem of meeting and connecting people. The first thing which I wanted to do was to create a calendar. We had daily meetings, weekly meetings, and planned meetings, and I would be meeting the people in groups and in person. I also was making plans to visit this out location and then meet those people as well. Now the challenges were many because some people will be in night shift, some people will be in the day shift, and so on. So all these things should be orchestrated in a perfect manner to ensure that people are not overstretching and they are available for meetings, and I will be able to hear from them. When compared to the location that I was in, the similar challenges were there, but with much less intensity. I was able to manage in this way the first few weeks, and things started rolling as per my plan, as I planned, and as I expected. The second challenge of new team, new company, new environment. Of course, I was anticipating in a way, so it was not a big surprise to me. but I was not prepared completely to handle that, though I was partially prepared, so to say.
Hmm.
And I was expecting that there could be some gray areas and unknown areas, and those things I was asking relevant questions to the people, and I was getting no the answers, by which I was getting the right picture of what is what and how the things were. The third most important challenge that I had was my performance metrics for this team. When I'm asked to manage 850 people, I had performance targets associated with revenue, cost, customer satisfaction, and employee satisfaction. If you closely look at it, these metrics were very cleverly crafted to ensure that a balanced approach is a must. Because the moment you try to achieve customer satisfaction, there will be some leakage or there will be some problem associated with revenue or cost or employee satisfaction. The moment I
Right.
focus on revenue, there can be a problem associated with my employee satisfaction or customer satisfaction or cost, and vice versa. So it was a really a balancing act to ensure that every month when we review our numbers, I am painting the right picture with the facts and figures. And of course, my reviewers will not look at reasons; they will look at only the numbers. And on the
Right.
other side, I'll be showing the numbers which are real. On the field side, I should be able to ensure that my team is performing at a high speed and achieve these numbers.
Right. So while you were mentioning your challenges, I did remember about a recent greet and meet session that we did for the members of Mentor My Board, wherein Brigadier Sushil Bhasin, who was a leader and who was kind of delving into his session, and he mentioned that, as an independent director, it is really important for you to know where is your end goal. So while you are crafting your journey for that position, your end goal has to be clear. Where is it that you want to reach and why is it that you want to reach? Only then, even if you diverge from your way, you will at least reach your destination. Maybe a little, in terms of time, you might reach here and there, but then you will at least make towards your destination. And while you rightly mentioned the second point that you must have your clear goals in picture, so I could remember and relate to that incident where he was sharing that as an independent director, how is it that you contribute effectively and what is your end goal that you want to achieve from that position is really very important for you to take into consideration. So nice share, Mr. Unnikrishnan, and thank you for sharing this kind of an experience with us. And I'm sure the way you have dealt with these many people, it is an amazing journey that you would have had. While we take up the another, while I go ahead in this discussion and conversation with you, I would request everyone who is viewing this, hearing this, and if you want to post in some questions, you are open to do that in the chat box. So please go ahead, share your questions with us, and we would love to take it up so that we can have those real time discussions as well. Going ahead, I wanted to also understand from you, your Udemy courses focus on personalized and matrix based management competencies improvement. So, what inspired you to create these kind of courses and how did they help managers elevate in their performances? So, what was the genesis of, the inspiration behind all of it?
Well, when I became manager for the first time, I was not knowing how to manage my team. I was having some vague idea, but I was not sure that I was doing it in the right way that it is supposed to be done. Because in general, if you look at the practice industry wide, people will be chosen for the managerial role and they'll be given some training and they'll be let go. They have to go and manage of their own.
Right,
But here, the important aspect that I realized was that every individual is unique, so as managers. So
right.
you cannot have a common program which will benefit the managers as a whole when they are in a group and then you impart the training to them.
Very true.
So this was the trigger point for me to ensure that it is a personalized training that needs for managers.
Hmm.
And if you look at the managers, there can be three types. And I think all the managers can be accommodated in these three types. One
Mm-hmm.
is first time manager, Second one is somewhat experienced manager. Third one is a
Hmm.
seasoned manager who is having the potential to become leader.
Right.
Now, compared to the rest of the managers, the first time manager will have an additional drawback or a shortcoming.
Hmm.
It is the mindset, managerial mindset. Because in general, a
First
person
time
who is doing
manager, is
better
it?
in a team, I'm sorry,
The first time manager you're mentioning about, right?
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Because when a team is doing a better job, the top management or the next level management may decide that, okay, look at Mr. X is doing an excellent job, make him as a manager for the team.
Hmm.
Now, we don't know whether Mr. X is having the right mindset to manage the things. I have
Right.
seen managers, even after becoming managers, they will do the job of his team member
Hmm.
because the person will not know how to get the job done by his team member, which is the first and foremost characteristic of a manager. So
True.
these trigger points prompted me to create a course, and the manager should be able to pick and choose
Hmm.
whatever he or she wants to excel in. So I chose some 10 competencies, and then I made the material of our Udemy course. Even within that, the important point is these management improvement program are metrics based and they are measurable. Until
One.
recently, we also know that intangible things cannot be measured, like service, like customer satisfaction. You cannot measure. But now there are techniques to do that. So
Right.
I also adopted the same thing and I ensured that by following step by step method which is taught in this program, a
Right.
manager will be able to pick and choose the right competency. Not only that, he or she will be able to pick and choose the level of improvement that is required. For example, I may be good at time management, maybe as per my self evaluation, 50%. I want to improve it to 70%. The answer is there in the course.
Correct.
Another manager may be required to do a team management because he or she may not have the exposure to do the team management, and he or she wants to do the team management expertise, jump from 50% to say 70%. That is possible. Another person may want to improve the communication. That person may be at 40% level and the person may want to do it by reaching by 60%. Again, the
Correct.
answer is there in the program. I have also added real life examples in the video course. Not only
Wonderful.
that, I have also added the recommended practices, which consists do's as well as do nots. Because many times we are exposed to do's. The do nots we are not all that sure of, and nobody teaches in general. So I
Correct.
was also adding the do nots, which will eliminate the possibilities of failure as a manager and improve the competency levels by adapting the do's, which is shared in the video course.
So, Unnikrishnan ji, has any video course been created for the journey from manager to independent director by you?
No, not yet. Possibly, I may have to think about it. And one more
Yes.
point I wanted to add here. Recently, I have added another topic which is much needed as of today. The topic name is stress management
Wonderful.
because
That's
this is
right. That's
something.
right.
Yeah, this is the stress is there for anybody and everybody, right
Yep.
from the kindergarten school student up to a board of director, CEO or CFO or whoever it may be. The stressful situations are unavoidable. How to
That
manage
is
it, how to
because we are,
handle it.
yeah, that is because we are living in the world of competition. I mean, there is competition in everything that you do, everything that you even think of. So you have to think of doing a thing, and you have to also think of the competition that you will have to face, right? When you have started thinking
Absolutely,
about doing the thing. So I can
absolutely.
understand that. So Deep Narayan is someone from our LinkedIn community and would want to know what kind of journey is required from being a manager to an independent director, and would be great to have a course on that as well. So you've now got a new topic for you to prepare this course too.
Certainly, yes, it was a quantum jump, I would say. because from the manager, a person has to become a leader, because the leaders will inspire while the manager will manage the team. And
Right.
on top of it, the leader should also become a board level member, like independent director, for which the entire outlook should change. And
Right.
therefore it will take a lot of it will take good amount of effort to create material for this. And it's a good trigger point, like you have mentioned, and also the other member mentioned. Let me spend some time to get into that.
Sure. And from my end, Deep Narayanji, what I would wish to say is from manager to an independent director, it's a process, it's a journey that you have to go through. So it takes its own time. But yes, continuous upskilling, continuous nurturing, continuous understanding, and exploring the field of corporate governance is really very essential. And hence, you can kind of try and get into those, space where corporate governance is being discussed so that you are more aware and you are more into the role even before you have absorbed into that role, right? So that is something that I would want to add from my end. There is someone by the name of Mr. Rohit who is also watching us, Unnikrishnan ji, and mentions that many times vision of the company does not percolate to the employees and there is no CEO KRA specified. Hence, it is difficult to draw down employee goals. And it is so very true. I mean, if you have to set goals, it has to be right from the top. If in case there is any ambiguity in the channel between, it becomes difficult to kind of, actually formulate KRAs on those terms then for the lower level people as well. And how about your thoughts on it, Unnikrishnan ji?
Well, let me add few points to that. I
Please.
don't know. Maybe some of the people who are listening to this podcast may recall that something called the MBO, Management by Objectives, which means that the goals from the top to bottom in any organization must be synchronized with one another.
Right.
And what I have done is that the moment I took over the role of leading 850 people, I was looking at my goals from my boss and I was translating them, breaking down into deliverables by my immediate manager under me and the next level manager under me and the team members under me. So now, when they do as per their goals, obviously I will also be able to achieve my goal. I'm not too sure, and maybe I now should feel assured that the similar thing will be done from my next level management as well, so that whenever the management goals are synchronized and it is percolating down to up to the team member, then the organization becomes more successful.
True, true. So let me understand more in detail. And you've learned a few skills in terms of Power BI, in terms of SQL, in terms of Six Sigma, and I mean, these kind of concepts. So, how are these tools helpful, or how are these methodologies helping you to transform your approach towards the problem solving and decision making? So, how is it that these tools help you?
Well, they do not directly play a role in the problem solving or decision making or whatsoever, because my objective of learning these tools were different.
Hmm.
Basically, I am a computer hardware professional.
Okay.
I do not know much about computer software side of it, like the other programmers and data scientists or data analysts do.
Okay.
So I wanted to move out of my comfort zone of computer hardware troubleshooting, system troubleshooting, and its associated peripherals, storage systems, huge mainframes troubleshooting, etc., into the software area. So I thought, let me pick and choose a small part of, or maybe which is easy to learn, like
Hmm.
SQL.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to learn it, and I know that this is working on some basic rules and how this output comes out, how the semantics work, and so on and so forth. So as the AWS, Amazon cloud services as well. Coming to Power BI, this was the latest one, and this is part of the data analytics program. And it was really interesting to see how a big chunk of data is with ease and within minutes or seconds can be viewed, can be made into visuals. It really attracted me, and I also tried something on it as well. So the idea behind my having this course studied is that it is to know about the basics of these things and move away from my comfort zone.
Wow.
And of course, Six Sigma is something which is part of the quality program. And I was also exposed to total quality management earlier. So this is related to that. I could relate to these two aspects and defect elimination, etc. Especially in case I get a chance to serve into a manufacturing industry, this could be a starting point to go ahead with.
Oh, that's wonderful. And as you are passionate about management ethics, right? So, how do you integrate into your profession the ethics, the consulting engagements that you take upon? So, what are your key strengths that you can kind of, link between both of them?
Right. I view ethical standards and ethical practices as traffic signal.
Wow.
I keep hearing stating that somebody has violated the traffic, but he or she was not caught. So what is the problem? I can also do the violation. So this is the mindset which needs a radical shift. At
Agreed.
the same time, yeah, at the same time, the ethical standard and ethical practices are not coming overnight to any person. Fortunately, all my organizations that I associated with were having very strict and vigilant, very stringent ethical practices from top to bottom. Just to quote an example, in one of my organizations, people were producing fake medical bills to get the tax exemption.
Oh.
If you go to a medical shop, you may get at a 10% discount, you may get some, I mean, by paying some 10%, you may get some high value medical bills and they can claim. And I mean, as far as the system is concerned, there is a medical bill with a name, so it can be processed. It is not ethical in terms of organization policies.
True.
I know our CEO took a very, very strong action on those people, and people were chucked out just because they produced a few hundreds or few thousands of medical bills.
Oh my God.
Similarly, I can quote another example: leave travel allowance. People produce bills or taxi bills or any other bill, and then they claim without traveling. They may take a week off from work, and then they produce the bill and they get the money.
True.
Oh, I can also narrate one more incident which is very important and relevant here, which will also help us to understand how I managed a real life scenario as well. One such team member who was very, very talented, very much appreciated by one of my clients, was caught on account of producing fake, fake LTA bills.
Oh.
It was investigated further, and the management took a decision that this person should be checked out in a week's time. This was communicated to the customer. Customer said, I can't accept it.
Oh
You
my
have to
God.
return this person. The manager tried, customer was not convinced. His manager's manager tried, the customer was not convinced. Then the practice leader also tried, the customer said no. They came and told me now what to do. I said no deviation on these policies. Please set up a call with the client. The call was set up. The customer was asking why you are checking out such a person, because he was doing excellent job. He is having high level of technical expertise. Why you are checking him out? I said, see, I can't reveal the reason, but I can always say that there are some company policies by which, if there is a violation found after investigation, there is no compromise on that. There is zero tolerance towards these actions, and hence he is moving out. I am very sure that your company will also have such policies. He said yes. Then I also said, having said that, I will ensure that personally I will monitor for next few weeks that the deliverables on account of this person's absence is never getting affected. That assurance I'm giving on behalf of the organization and on behalf of the team. The team will also ensure that it happens. And customer agreed for that.
Wow, that assurance, I'm sure it helped him to make up his mind and kind of, be prepared for the kind of separation or the loss of time that he would have expected by this person moving out.
Absolutely.
Great, great. And as a leader, again, you've put a role model or an example in terms of walking the talk. So it is great to, learn from leaders who actually portray themselves, not only portray themselves, but actually even implement those strategies. Amazing. Sincerely amazing.
Yeah, let me also cite one more example.
Yeah,
Some of the stakeholders, when there is a situation, they wanted to overcome circumvent the situation. So they said, a letter is needed, right? I will ensure that the letter is created and given. I said, no, you can't do that. It should come from the right persons concerned. You cannot
correct.
create a letter. Maybe it will overcome your problem temporarily, but later your credibility and everything will be in stake. So let us not do that.
True, I agree. And since you are someone who is a person who is preparing for an independent directorship kind of a role, right? Or maybe an executive director on boards. So, what unique values do you think you bring towards this kind of a profile or this kind of a position in the leadership level? I'm sure
Well,
honesty and trust and all of them you've already mentioned. But is there anything else also that you wanted to add to it?
this is a difficult question to answer, but at the same time, let me make an attempt. In my view, ability to inspire by demonstrating accountability and transparency. This may be a unique value that should be brought to the board. By looking at me, if one or two people are getting inspired and if they're also following the similar ethical practices and achieving results, that is something which will make me also happy, and which will also achieve the objective of being transparent and accountable and inspiring others as well.
Amazing, amazing. So I think there are so many governance roles that we see that they've been playing in scaling the businesses, right? So when we speak about IPOs, when we speak about essentially the consideration of IPOs for navigating these sustainability kind of challenges, and how is it that you see governance being a trailblazer in such kind of a situation?
IPO has got an advantage in my view. The reason being, the company has not evolved; it is going to evolve. So,
Hmm.
right from the beginning, if you are able to put the governance mechanism and other things in place, then it is easy to sustain rather than as a company, it's very difficult to maybe imbibe if the whole company itself is having a different mindset altogether. In IPO type of companies, the strategic clarity in business goals and sticking to those business objectives. Many times we read about some frauds happening in board level, etc., primarily because of deviation from the objective with which the company was formed. A technical company getting into a real estate business. Maybe the real estate company is also related to this particular person, which is not known or maybe known or it was covered, whatever the reason could be. So
True.
if these things are taken care of, then there is a fairly good chance that the company will go as planned without getting into legal battles or risks. The other area is about risks and risk mitigations.
Hmm.
This is a key area, and also ensuring the accountability and transparency among the people. If something goes wrong, I'm not responsible. Somebody else is responsible. And I'm not transparent. I may always have a hidden agenda with me. You don't know what it is. But at
True.
one fine morning, it may come up.
Right.
Right? Similarly, for the sustainable goals part of it, the governance can have clearly well defined actions for the organization in the beginning of the year, and it can be monitored and reported every month or every quarter, as the case may be.
Wonderful. Great, great. So, as a person who is aspiring towards independent directorship, or towards that role, but as a leader, when you have led such a huge team, so what is an advice that you would wish to give to independent directors, specifically, or maybe even leaders across, and who would and to make that kind of meaningful impact in that role, to the organizations that they are serving on?
Well, I can talk about only from the leadership perspective because I'm yet to get exposed to board level, but I'm sure that will also be helpful to the board level executives as well.
True.
Reading never stops, or learning never stops. That is one important point.
What a
And by
beautiful
doing
and
so,
important point.
we should get updated on what's happening around. What is happening around is fine, but you should never stop there. Whatever is happening is fine, but how do we get the best out of it, or how do we apply and learn from it? Because the application is much more important. In my personal view, if I learn something and if I don't apply it, it may not be of much help. It may not serve my purpose. So
Very
most
true.
of the things I always look at the way in which how it can be applied, rather than just knowing it and then forgetting it later.
Right. So Satish ji is mentioning that honesty from the top management, the point that we were discussing in between. So Satish ji has also kind of acknowledged it and is commenting on the same. And Unikrishnan ji, it was a really wonderful conversation with you. And I'm sure the way Mentor My Board equips directors and businesses with these kind of right tools, knowledge, network to navigate in these challenges with governance, with sustainability and profitability. Your advice, your few golden nuggets or your pointers that you've shared will be of a huge help to a lot of leaders who are kind of planning to go on this journey. And by connecting with experts like you to the community members, it's always a pleasure. People are always inspired by the way leaders like you have led through these organizations. So thank you so much for being a part with us in this member spotlight series. And it was again a wonderful conversation with you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Nehaji, for this opportunity given to me to be part of the journey with MMB. And I can definitely contribute whatever way that I can, whatever way that can be useful for people in this community and for MMB as
Thank
well.
you so
Thank
much.
you.
And we will sure meet up again, and a quick chat